Welcome to the session at Labs in Security. Perry Driscoll will go into the good, the bad, and the ugly of Labs management. And yeah, there'll be a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, wait until the end, and I'll be passing the mic around so you can ask the question. So everyone, give a round of applause to Perry Driscoll.
Thanks, man. Hey, so welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming. And so here we are, JNUC 2024, a lapse in security. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone's had a long day. I hope you're all high on sugar from all the goods that are outside. So yeah, hopefully we can get through this session and there won't be too many snorers at the end of it. So yeah, LAPS is a subject that just won't quit, and hopefully we can cover off some useful information in today's session, give you all some extra information, or just a crash course in LAPS if you're unfamiliar with it. So this is me. I'm Perry Driscoll, so I'm a senior consultant for a company called Econocom. We're based in London, UK. Got presence all over Europe as well, so we're owned by a big French conglomerate. So yeah, I've been working in IT for 17, 18 years now. So all levels of support, help desk, ticketing, answering phones, running up and downstairs, changing mice, keyboards, you name it, I've done it all. So yeah, I've been there, done it, all levels. And this is me last year enjoying a nice beer at the JNUC party. Oh, no, there was many. Many. So yeah, you can also find me on GitHub under the handle Pezzadi84. So there's just some other tools up there, scripts, other sort of LAPS-related things. And yeah, you can find my own LAPS tool, which I will come on to a little bit later. So, LAPS, again. I mean, this is probably, what, maybe the 3rd session I've seen of LAPS in the last couple of days. So if you've been to those, like maybe we'll go over some stuff that you've already heard, so hopefully it won't bore you too much. So I was at JNUC last year talking LAPS again, so it was over my own LAPS tool that I created. Just because, I mean, there's a lot out there, but there was nothing really in Jamf, so that's kind of what got me going for it. And so, yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm a bit lost. Oh yeah, sorry. So last year, when we did this, I asked the crowd sort of how many people, just a show of hands, who actually uses LAPS at that time. And yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. It was maybe less than half the audience. So yeah, I'm quite interested to see how many of you guys out there now are using LAPS in any kind of form. So just a quick show of hands. Nice. That is a hell of a lot more than last year. So yeah, probably you're using Jamf LAPS if it's built in now. So yeah, cool. So I mean, rather than me waffling on about what LAPS is and kind of, like, that's exactly what I did last year. So there's no point me going into all the details again. And so, yeah, instead of waffling on, it kind of got me thinking about something that I found last year while I was working on my presentation. And it was this quote, and it was, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And so that got me thinking, how can I kind of simplify what I said last year? Yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming any kind of level of intelligence to Einstein. So with that in mind, this is what I came up with. And it's kind of the simplest way to explain it to someone. So LAPS, a local admin account with a unique password. I mean, is that too simple? Is it not simple enough? I mean, it's definitely not Einstein levels of intelligence, that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, that's what I came up with. And that's how I wanted to keep it simple and get this going. And so with that came a lot of research, and I come across all of these security standards, which I guess a lot of you have probably heard of and you are dealing with. So these security standards have been put together to outline best security practices, and these have been developed by security professionals to help companies prevent, detect, and respond to cyber threats. So we've got CIS. We've got the ISO standards, and we've got the SOC 2 compliance, which I think is probably more relevant to North America. But these are just three. I mean, they've got NIST as well. There's a lot of them out there. DISA, STIG, the list goes on and on and on. OMG, WTF, all the acronyms in the world. I mean, there's even some industry-specific standards. So for example, if any of you work in media and entertainment, you've probably heard of TPN. So I worked with a big customer in the UK who, the clients that they dealt with, probably can't say their names for NDA reasons. But yeah, they basically needed this TPN to work on their media projects. So film and television just was not happening through that company unless they had this TPN certificate. So the big ones, CIS, Center for Internet Security, ISO, International Standard for Information Security Management. Well, that one rolls off the tongue easy. And then the SOC, Service and Organization Controls. Sorry, can we make the text smaller? Thank you. Sorry, I just lost my notes. Yeah, so these security guidelines outline a lot of different security measures that should be taken. But the ones we're focusing on are obviously password requirements outlined across these different standards. So, complex passwords is one that comes up through all of these. Passwords should include a mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. Simple, we all know that. Unique, the password has to be unique. Use unique passwords for all enterprise assets. Avoid reusing passwords that have been leaked. Password rotation. Change passwords regularly, at least 60 days. So that's kind of general rule of thumb across all of these. And then the last one that comes up all the time is the password length. So passwords should be 12 to 14 characters in length, if not using MFA. But they can be 8 characters long if you are using MFA. But this isn't a regular for all of the standards. But I mean, these points, you all know them. You probably all do it in one way or another. And so, yeah, these can be achieved by using, you guessed it, LAPS. So, when we're talking LAPS for Mac, there's a lot of different solutions out there. And these are all great in their own right. So there isn't one tool to sort of fit all, really. Many of you have probably heard of macOS LAPS by Josh D. Miller. This is one of the better ones out there. It's been around for many, many years. So this LAPS tool has a huge following on the Mac admin Slack channel as well. Huge, huge, huge support. Lots of good support. I mean, you'll even get Josh on Slack fixing some problems if they ever arise. And so this was the solution that actually got me thinking about making my own LAPS solution. So I wanted to keep things simple with mine, and I wanted to make it a kind of agnostic for Jamf. So I wanted 1 or 2 policies just to kick off a script that will create and cycle passwords, and another one that would pull up a nice dialog so you could view it. So yeah, there's a lot and more, and that's my one. And then after all my work and all my presentation, kind of planning for last year, I submitted my presentation, and then Jamf told me, we've made our own, and you need to now talk about that too. So I shoehorned that in. I'd done some looking into it. And yeah, it wasn't the greatest at the time, but they've done a lot of work on it. And so yeah, we'll come on to that a little bit later on. So talking of Slack, this is the Mac admin Slack channel. massive shout out to Mac admins because they do a hell of a lot for the community. And this is a direct link to the LAPS channel. So everyone and anyone, if you're looking up LAPS stuff, this is the place to go. So this link here is for the LAPS channel, which was created by Josh D. Miller for his own macOS LAPS tool. But yeah, he's been really kind enough, and he's now opened this channel to basically all things LAPS. So jumping into my solution. At the core of my LAPS solution, it's run off of 2 scripts, and they're all written in Bash. So we've got one policy that is used to create and cycle the LAPS account. We've got a second policy which will trigger the cycles. So you can set this to monthly, weekly, or however frequently you want it to run. It's just run from a custom trigger from the first policy. And then you've got the decoder app / policy. So this is just another script, and this will basically display a dialog, give you a pop-up, give you the password, and you're good to go. So if we take a quick look in these policies, so these are easily customizable. So once you've pumped the scripts into Jamf, you create your policy, you go to the parameters. Each one is assigned to a function within the script, and you just need to populate these parameters with your information. So by default, the passwords generated by the script are always randomly generated with upper and lowercase characters and numerical values. One of these parameters is for length of password, so you can specify in there if you have to set a certain length. In there as well is a special character tick box, so true, false. It will throw in a random special character. So certain CIS and ISO standards, they require a special character in there. And so, I've lost my notes again, sorry. So it's also in these parameters that you can set your Slack and Teams webhooks. So you can have a nice audit trail of all your activity that's going on. So every time the password is created or rotated or viewed, it will pop up a nice notification in Slack or in Teams, and so you can have a nice audit trail of all the activity that's going on. So again, the decoder app on the other side, that's controlled by just filling out the parameters in the policy. So within the decoder app parameters, you can set the time that you want it to restart, you want it to reset the password after it's viewed. So up there, I don't know if you can really see it, but that is just set to 5 minutes. So when somebody views that password, it will kick off a launch agent on the device that will run off and cycle the password in your set time. So again, in here, you've got all your Slack and your Teams webhooks that you can put in. So every time it's decoded, you'll get a notification saying, Joe Bloggs has just viewed a password on this device. And there's a little button down there that is a challenge. So you can specify your help desk URL. So if you see this come up in Slack and you don't know who this person is or what device it is, or they shouldn't have been requesting it, you can raise a challenge and open up a ticket and kind of investigate what is going on. And so yeah, the decoder app. So this is what it looks like. So you could assign this to your help desk teams. You can literally run it from self-service. They put in the name, a reason. They can do it by host name, serial name. Yeah, it's just so that you can have a nice audit trail of what's going on. So you have to give a reason. You can't just leave that blank and not have a reason for needing admin access, because we all know it's nice to know what people are trying to do. So yeah. This isn't limited to the device that it's running on either. So for example, again, having it set to your help desk team, run it, get a password for somebody in the other side of the building who's requested it. So it can pick up any passwords from the estate. Yeah, the next prompt then you've got there. So this is what you see afterwards. So this basically displays the password. So this automatically copies to the clipboard. So you can just paste it straight into a chat or into an admin prompt if you are doing something like that. And this will automatically disappear after 10 seconds. So you've got a nice countdown bar, you can see it disappear. So yeah, after this is all run, this will kick off the reset of that password as well. So even though you are copying it and pasting it, it's going to be absolutely useless in 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you've had it set. There we go. So yeah, if you've got Slack and Teams enabled, these are examples of the notifications you get. So yeah, on creation and every time it's rotated or requested, you'll get a ping in your channel where it's set. So password request notifications in Slack display the device name, the user who's viewing the password, and the reason why. The reset creation notifications display the device name, the name of the LAPS account created, and whether the setup was successful or if it failed. This all keeps a nice audit trail of the LAPS accounts across your estate. So you've got a nice visible kind of audit of what is going on. So as well as the audit trail in Slack and Teams, we also have logs locally on each device. And you've obviously got your logs in Jamf. So the Jamf logs will keep track of each individual policy run, whereas the local logs will give you a full log of creation, decoding, and rotation all in the one place. So these are both useful in their own right, but the local log is slightly more useful. If for any reason that Jamf policy doesn't complete, it will just stick in a pending state and you won't have a log in Jamf. But you will have your log locally, so any kind of troubleshooting, any failures that aren't being flagged in Jamf, you will find it in the local logs. So that's what I came up with. And I've implemented it for many organizations and customers, and they've been very happy with it. But then, however, as I touched on earlier, Jamf released their own tool last year, which kind of ruined my party a little bit. So this was pretty much how you configured Jamf LAPS last year. To configure LAPS, you had to send an API request from terminal or a script or something like Postman. So in this example of code, it's just a put request that is enabling LAPS, it's enabling auto rotation, it's setting the rotation after password's viewed to 10 minutes, and it auto rotates after 1 month. And then this was how you viewed your passwords last year as well. So you had a nice audit trail of the passwords when they're viewed and the timestamp. So I mean, it was good. Like, there's a lot of information there, and it's all in Jamf as well. But it just wasn't very user-friendly. So yeah, there was just some caveats with Jamf LAPS at the time. There are issues with using it for user-enrolled devices versus pre-stage enrolled devices, and it wasn't quite clear on if it would wipe or reset your admin account. And yeah, there were just some other quirks that just kind of made it unusable for your general users. A couple of massive issues that it was just a faff to use and configure. And with no GUI prompt or web interface to enable settings to get the passwords. Until now we have all this. Look at that. Even Ryan's impressed. I mean, how hard was it for Jamf to do this straight away? This has just made life a hell of a lot easier. So we've got this nice section in computer and settings now. Computer and security. So with a lovely little tick box, some nice little drop-down menus, and that's it. You set your LAPS configuration. So this is for your pre-stage accounts. So user enrolled, if you've got user-enabled enrollment, LAPS is on by default anyway, but this these settings are for your pre-stage enrolled devices. So yeah, we can view the password as well now. And we've got a nice audit trail within the computer inventory. So yeah, this is what it should have been a year ago. And maybe I wouldn't have had to waste my time creating my own tool. So yeah, as we arrived in Jamf 11.3, they added the functionality to view the password in the inventory. So you can see from the examples that we've got the pre-stage device and just a user-enrolled device. So, I lost my notes again. Right, having that pre-stage enrolled device is nice because now you can have it split. So you can have your user-enrolled LAPS account, and that can just be left there to run your Jamf binary, and then you can use your pre-stage LAPS account as your break glass admin. So yeah, Jamf LAPS will also comply with a passcode policy if you've got one set. So if you've got a config profile that is pushing out a password policy, then it will set that password every time it's rotated. Yeah, that's that. So do we all remember this horrible audit trail? This is what we had. So that's all gone as well. So you can see through here that you've got a nice trail of all the requests that have gone on. So when it's been viewed, rotated. So these are all in each individual computer record as well. So in the history tab under the LAPS settings, you can view it. So yeah, no longer do you need to run like an API command to see what's been going on. You can just view it clearly now in the computer inventory. Sorry, I need a drink quickly. So, just to shoehorn in a few selfless plugs. I mentioned last year how I created this tool for configuring Jamf LAPS without having to run API commands. If it clicks on. There we go. So yeah, this was my easy way to configure LAPS last year. So you can still use this now. So if you've got some admins that don't have full Jamf access, you can give them this tool. They can log in with their accounts or an account you set. And you can just set some parameters. And yeah, it's just a nice little tool for setting things up, I think. Also, another shameless plug. I love a GUI prompt. I love a dialog. And so this is my dialog window for Jamf LAPS. So again, it's the same principle as my LAPS solution. You could give this to your help desk team so it can sit in self-service. They can launch this, put in all the details, and they get the LAPS account and the LAPS password all from Jamf on the screen. And again, it automatically copies that password to the clipboard. So you're good to go, really. And also, there is a box there for LAPS account name. So if you do know the name of the account, so say you've got a pre-stage and a user-enrolled account, you could pick which one you wanted, and it will give you that password. By default, it will just pull the first one it finds on the list if there's more than one. And so, yeah, again, this has all the LAPS and, not LAPS, Slack and Teams notifications as well. So if you put in your webhooks, you will get all this information straight to your Slack channels as well. And yeah, so the good thing about this as well, it's basically, it is just Jamf LAPS. So you've got all that automatic cycling pre-built in. You've got all your audit trail in Jamf. And yeah, you've got all the good stuff. But yeah, you've got a nice way of fetching that password without having to be in Jamf. And yeah, so one other little Jamf LAPS tool that I've recently finished, and it's out in very early version 1 release, is a menu bar app. So this is installed on your device. And it runs on an application called Support App by Geordie Whiteman. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a brilliant little tool. So yeah, it just sits in the menu bar, one click, and you are shown the LAPS account for the device and the current password. Again, this will automatically copy to clipboard, so you could click it once, copied, go and do your admin work that you want to do. So kind of applications and uses for this, you could install this maybe on your dev users' devices. So they don't have to have admin level rights all the time. They can request it, and it's all audit trailed and logged when they've done it. Yeah, if they need to compile some code or something and they need to run a sudo command or whatever it is, they can just fetch this password quickly, and you're not elevating their personal account. So that was something that I wanted to kind of avoid as well. So I know Jamf Connect, you can elevate yourself to an admin. And I know there's other tools out there like the SAP Privileges app. It's a very good app, but again, for me, to not be elevating yourself and keep yourself as a standard and keep your admin and your kind of general users separate, I kind of prefer it this way. So then you can just run an admin prompt, do what you need to do, and that password is useless and cycles, and it's safe, and no one's going to steal it. And yeah, so, I mean, these security standards, they're kind of ruling our life now, aren't they? They're everywhere. Everyone knows about them. Everyone's been dealing with them. Yeah, and so it's a way now that you're going to have to go, and LAPS is a massive part of this now. It's just ticking one of those boxes that all these security standards need you to have. So we're getting away from customers having one password for all their admin accounts, which is still a thing. I know there are some workflows where this kind of has to happen. But yeah, LAPS is growing in popularity, and with a lot of vendors creating their own tools. Yeah, I mean, you've got other competitive MDM platforms that are creating LAPS tools, and yeah, you've just got third-party vendors doing it all as well. So it is a massive thing. And so yeah, these guys are ticking all those boxes with LAPS. So again, just going over the community for LAPS. Get yourself on the Mac Admins channel. It's a brilliant place. Yeah, the community in there, they are very helpful. You've got all these community tools out there as well. Check them all out. See which one fits you, kind of your needs, your wants, and what you want from it, really. Are we not clicking on? Sorry. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, and then obviously, yeah, LAPS from Jamf. Finally, we've gone from this to this. Yeah, from API only to GUI interface, it's been a busy year, and they've come a long way. Yeah, I'm not going to knock their tool because it's doing the job, and it's a lot better than it was last year. All configurable from within Jamf now. No more sort of having to do API calls. Even though if you do want to do API calls, you still can set it up, and you can change the default settings that they give you, so you can actually build it out kind of more customizable if you do set the settings via API. Just a little trick if you might want to do that. And yeah, having the computer passwords viewable in the computer inventory, along with the rotation and the audit trail. And yeah, that's about it from me. Thank you so much for listening to me waffle on about LAPS again. Yeah, thanks for giving me your time. I really appreciate everything. And yeah, thank you all. And I'll just leave this up here. It's just some helpful links. The Jamf LAPS documentation, the LAPS channel in Mac Admins, and my GitHub if you want to check out my LAPS solution. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. You've been building so much for the community, so really appreciate that. Any questions from the audience? I'll be passing the mic around. So yeah, just raise your hand if you have any question. One there, one there. OK.
Yeah, get the steps in.
I appreciate the tray bar piece that you built out, that was built out, so that people can just click on the tray bar to get the LAPS password. I was curious if that could be turned on and off also from the back end, so it's not always available, but can be deployed as available for periods of time.
Yeah, so I did look into kind of timing it out so people can't just keep clicking over and over and over again. It's something on my to-do list. But yeah, with this kind of version 1 and with this presentation coming up quick, I was like, I'm just going to get it out there and let people play around with it. So yeah, it is on my list of things to do. Yeah, just so that people can't exactly what you've said. Just click it, get admin access, and yeah, it'll be coming.
Thank you. In the Jamf LAPS UI that you showed, how is that audited? Like, do the users need to have certain privileges, or is it an API call out? Like, how does that look on the audit trail?
So all the authentication for all of this is all done through the Jamf API. So it's done through bearer tokens. So it's something I probably could have mentioned during this. So it's not done with an API client. So it is a Jamf account, so user and password, that's encoded and then put into the parameters for the script. So it's all done via API calls. And yeah, you'll get your audit trail through Slack and Teams, or you'll have it in your policy logs. And if you're using Jamf LAPS, it will give you the Jamf audit within the computer inventory. So it's basically just API. It's the API calls from last year, basically. That they've just updated a few kind of sites and URLs for it. Yeah. Cool, no problem.
Test, yeah, okay. Do you see any issues with having your LAPS-enabled administrator also secure token enabled? And also, to that same end, if not, does your GUI potentially have any plans to notate whether or not the secure token is enabled for a set account?
Yeah, so that is a sort of big issue with LAPS. Kind of general rule of thumb is not having your LAPS account file vault enabled as well. You obviously have it there as your break glass admin account, which can still do everything, but it won't be able to unlock the disk. You've got your kind of recovery keys to kind of get around that problem. But yeah, I've seen problems where when the password's been reset over and over again, it just ends up being out of sync with keychain, and it can cause just kind of random login problems that, yeah, it kind of ruins the workflow of LAPS. So yeah, same thing kind of happens with Jamf LAPS as well. So with your pre-stage enabled accounts, if they are file vaulted as well, then yeah, you will run into some problems there. So yeah, I generally just don't file vault the LAPS account.
Real quick, the pre-stage environment allows for that one glass account, so you got one extra besides Jamf Manage, and the user enrolled obviously has a Jamf Manage by default enabled. And I've seen that throughout my setup. Is there a way through the API or even through the interface to set up another account similar to what we have with the pre-stage?
So yes, you can. But again, it can get a little bit messy. So you'd basically have to create an admin account on the device. And are you basically saying you wanted to add like another pre-staged LAPS account? Or?
Yeah, like an alternate account, just so that it's not using the Jamf Manage.
Yeah, kind of, not really. I mean, what you could do is add another account and kind of, you can use some API calls to enable that as a LAPS account. But yeah, there's not an easy way to do it through Jamf to make another one.
Okay. No, I was curious if there was an API method.
Yeah.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Any other questions in the audience? All right.
Hey, first of all, love your LAPS implementation, by the way. I was wondering if there was a way to hide the admin account from the user, like there is with the Jamf LAPS account.
Sorry, to hide.
Yeah, hide the user account, like from the login window or from the settings.
So the Jamf LAPS accounts, if you, you can't, I think you can have them hidden actually. Yeah. So the pre-stage one you can have hidden. The other way that we get around it with the user enrolled one is we stick an underscore in front of it, and so it hides it from the user visibility there.
Second, wait for the mic.
Yeah, so in the script you'll be able to hide it.
Speaking?
Yeah.
If you're using a script to create the account, there's a flag you can set to hide that account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that would.
Yeah, but for like the user-enabled account and the pre-stage one, so the pre-stage one can be hidden, and the way we get around the user account one is to underscore it, so it's just moved out of the way. Right. We're still going.
Is there any consensus amongst, I don't know, security folks about whether it's better to have an on-device LAPS solution like yours or macOS LAPS or an MDM one like the Jamf one?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know what their kind of main thing is. So just on my LAPS solution, it is stored in an extension attribute. So the password is uploaded to Jamf. And it's encoded into just a jarbled string.
But the actual rotation is a script that runs locally.
The script is called from Jamf, so it's a policy that runs.
Okay.
So the only part of the script that is local is it installs Swift Dialog just to get the dialog box. But yeah, the actual script just lives in Jamf and it's just called as a policy. So yeah, it doesn't install on the device and run. I think some other LAPS tools do that. So I think Joshua D. Miller's one installs the script locally, and then it's controlled via a config profile and sort of stores things in the keychain.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Any other questions? Nope. Great. Well, another round of applause for Perry.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you.